This is Pod Populi.
Podcast for the people.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
Hi again, everyone. It's Brian Howie. Welcome to The Great Love Debate, the world's #1 dating and relationship podcast. Since 2015, we are here in the lovely studios of Pod Populi in Boca Raton, Florida. Podcast for the people. And as promised, we have been having a whole bunch of letters come in over the last couple of months. I think it's been a couple of months since we did one, so they were stacking up like planes over LaGuardia. I wanted to wait till the right time to dig into the mailbag here. I wanted to wait till I had the right person in here to answer these. And the theme today is about, I'll get into the theme in a minute because I'm going to set it up. It was brought to my attention by a reader of what we should talk about, and then we'll get into it. But I need somebody who's both experienced and reasonable in the world of dating. Is that a fair way to describe you, her?
Absolutely.
Experienced and reasonable. She has a interesting, circuitous route to this moment. We'll get there in a second. Most importantly, she's the host of the Parenting Unfiltered podcast, where if you've got kids out there, this might help you wrangle them a tad and get them in line. Jenny Sosa, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me today.
Is that a fair way to say wrangle the kids, get them in line,
Wrangle them in, make it fun. Yeah. Keep it real.
Yeah. Parenting Unfiltered. Parenting should be unfiltered. It should be raw. It should be real. It should be unique. It should be you. Just like dating. Be who you are.
Absolutely.
Do what works for you.
Absolutely. You've got to teach them all the hard stuff too. Can't just do the easy stuff.
Can't just do. A lot of parents want to do the easy stuff, and then they're like, "Wait, what? We got to deal with what?"
Listen, it's a lot harder than you ever thought it would be when you
Oh,
get
I
there.
thought it would be. That's why I chose to tap out.
That was smart. That was a wise decision coming from a parent.
A lot of people secretly whisper that to me all the time. You're so lucky. You must have a lot of extra money lying around.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, you do. Anyway, so somebody sent me an email a couple of weeks ago, and then I answered this. I responded to this email by putting a social media post asking for letters related to what she sent me. So I'm going to read what she sent me, and then we're going to dive all into the mailbag here. So she sent me, this is from Shelly in Cary, North Carolina, which I believe is somewhere outside of Charlotte. Is that fair? It might not be. I don't know. Shelly wrote, "Brian, you say, come on into the pool. The water is warm, blah, blah, blah. But have you actually been in the dating pool recently? I'm not sure which end is worse, the shallow end or the deep end, but this pool is definitely under-chlorinated and peed in."
Wow. Someone's a little jaded.
So true. I have not been splashing around in the pool recently. Perhaps that's true. Perhaps that's not. Again, we are in the generalization business here at the Great Love Debate, so we always like to make wide, sweeping things. Have you dabbled in the dating pool recently?
I have. I would say in the last year, I've probably dated more than my whole life combined, maybe.
Well, I don't know about that. Is this where we get into it? Your whole life combined. There must have been some dates statistically.
There are, but usually I go on one or two and then I end up married. So, this is where now I'm actually just dating people.
Do we have a drum roll, please? How many marriages? She's not that old. Jenny Sosa is very youthful.
I'll be 45 next month.
Okay. You have had how many marriages?
Legally, I've been married 5 times.
Okay.
And divorced 5
How old
times.
were you when you got married for the 5th time?
The 5th time was in 2019.
So in your early 40s.
Correct.
So you were married 5 times by your early 40s.
Correct. The first one was at 20.
So every 5 years, that makes it seem a little bit more palatable.
Yeah. I mean, 2 of them were 6 years, and 2 of them were less than a year.
How many proposals have you had?
There have been 2 others in between all of that, but they never.
So 7
came
proposals,
to fruition.
5 marriages, 4 divorces, but
5 divorces.
5 divorces, but you said 4. No, 5 divorces.
5 marriages, 5 divorces, 2 proposals in between that never turned into a wedding.
How many rings?
Well, the only person I have kids with never gave me a ring.
Okay. So 2 kids.
Which is a little strange.
How many did you love in the moment? All?
In the moment, meaning
not
not really, or like I loved them when I married them.
Yeah, meaning when you said you're going to get married, you're like, I
4
love
of
you.
them I loved and was I hoped that I would spend my life with.
Okay.
One was for technical difficulties per se.
Okay, so you went back into the dating pool fully hopeful and into the marriage pool hoping it would work.
Hoping it worked. I never signed up to, I have to be married. My first marriage,
Clearly you did.
definitely. Well, no. My first marriage, I wanted to be married. It was going to be my forever. I had that fairy tale Cinderella thing in my head, and he was my life. When that sort of became a reality, that was not how it was going to go.
Yep.
And collapsed. I was pretty devastated. But needless to say, after that, I never sought out to necessarily be married after that. Usually it was them who wanted to have paperwork.
So the fifth one knew there were 4 earlier ones.
Absolutely.
And again, it's not like you were widowed 4 times. That might be some sort of curse or red flag, I think.
I left.
Right. Okay. So the fifth one's, he didn't think like she has a troubled track record with this? Not troubled.
Not
That's
at
probably
all.
the wrong
But he
word.
also knew it wasn't like I was seeking out to be married. He wanted to be married to me.
I don't care about the other 4. I'm the one.
He wanted to get married, and he and I were together and planned on being together. I said, I don't need to be married.
Right.
And he said, I would really like to get married. So I said, okay.
Okay. That seems reasonable.
Obviously, it was a bad idea.
Now, when you go on a date now and they're like, have you ever been married? What's your answer? Yes.
Yes.
And you leave it at that and order the appetizers? Or you're like, by the way.
I just
Yes,
start
yes,
with
yes, yes, yes.
No, I tell them, yes, I have been married. Obviously, I have kids, so they assume
Right.
I was married to him. And then I tell them I was married before kids as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as we get into the conversation, I divulge all the information. I'm not going to sit there and lie. They're going to find out anyway.
I get it. They're going to find out. I'm not going to say you're going to lie, but it's generally like, I don't know if people ask, well, how many times or how many, like that would come up deeper into the dating, I would think.
So then my question usually to them is, well, how many long-term relationships have you had?
Yeah.
Mine just happened to involve paperwork.
I agree. I know a woman who used to be on this podcast a lot. She said 9 engagements, no marriages, 3 kids, 3 baby daddies.
See?
So
She's got a
somewhere,
story.
well, I know somewhere between the proposal and the birthing, something's happening there because that's not really worked out.
But think about it this way, Brian. What if you go on a date with a girl and she's never had a long-term relationship? Isn't that more worrisome?
I agree to a point because when people find out I've never been married, I say that I've had many long-term relationships, and they say, and they're right, that means you're willing to put most of your chips on the table but not go all the way in.
See, I wouldn't say that. If you
What
and I
would
were
you
on
say?
a date and
Yep.
you said that to me, my response would be, okay, this guy obviously can be in a committed relationship,
Right.
but he never felt like it was the one.
Right, I think,
And that's okay.
I think the one goes 50 years, and you think that too, even despite all these marriages. You still believe that's possible.
I think it's possible. I think it's really rare, but I think it's possible.
Well, I think that's a good way to date. So, we have a bunch of questions related to sort of what people think of the dating pool right now. So we're going to try and splash a little pH balance, a little chlorine into this.
And pee,
and dig
apparently.
into this. We're going to kind of take the pee. It's like if you go to those pool parties in Vegas and there's like 2,000 people in the middle of the pool drinking, you don't even want to think about what's going on in that pool.
Well, there's also a DJ and probably some mollies too.
Right, so
you don't care about the pee anymore.
Onward. All right. So these are actual communications. Some are via social media and some were actually emails who sent to us, and we are going to dig into them and give you at least a reasonable response, I hope. First one, and this is from Jeanette via, she sent this via Instagram. Guys, the problem is the guys. Bunch of sex freaks, mama's boys, middle-aged frat boys, liars, cheaters, and losers. I never thought being alone was a better option, but it's definitely starting to look that way. I'm just so sick of it. My answer to that is like, your picker must be wrong. Like, there must be something about, we always say it's never that you haven't met the right person. It's always that you haven't been the right person. If this is really all you're finding is 10 or 20 or 30 in a row that fit one of these categories, there's something about you subconsciously, subliminally, or we want to say that is like, I'm going to go to these guys because they're broken or they're flawed or there's something wrong and I'm better and I'm not going to get hurt, and it ends up backfiring. Is that a
I
thing?
say they're not, she's maybe not, and I hate to say it, a game, but she's not playing the game right.
And what do you mean by the game right? I'm not saying you're wrong.
I find that a lot of men are equally as annoyed as the women are. So her comment and all
we will hear
her
that
spiel
shortly,
of everything that's wrong with all the guys.
Yeah.
The guys say the same things about the girls.
Bitch is crazy, gold digger, the whole list. Yeah.
They just want a free date. They act like hoes. They, are looking for a husband. They don't want to work, whatever. They have their whole lineup of things too.
Right.
So, I mean, you have to sort of play it right. You can't expect after the first date that they're going to, call you every 10 minutes. You can't chase them constantly and text them all day long. You have to sort of be chill for a minute and see how it plays out.
Right. If they're showing you they're a sex freak on the first date, I mean, I don't know.
I've had weird dates.
Yeah.
Listen, that happens. And so when that happens, I go, all right, listen, I'm going to go. I need to go.
We're done
nice
here.
to meet you and good luck.
Enjoy the souffle and I'm out of here.
I mean, I don't stick around to wait for things to get really crazy.
Right. A lot of times, that's a good point. On these dates, they want to know why. They want to know why didn't you tell? They want to sort of fight against the obvious, this is not what I'm looking for. I don't know if they want to salvage the evening or salvage the effort that led up to the evening. But either way, people just got to be like a poker player, as I said on the last podcast, fold until you get the king. I
agree.
Yeah,
totally agree.
Right. So partially, and not to blame you, Jeanette, but I'm going to blame you a little bit. Your picker might be off, and meaning that somehow you are. There's a reason why some women are like, oh, I've dated 15 straight alcoholics. Well, statistically, that's almost impossible unless you're doing something to seek out that type of person.
So I have friends that have definitely drawn a type of man to their world. And I see the pattern and I go, why do you not see that maybe your desperation draws these guys who need you to take care of them or they have substance issues? And I see a pattern. So exactly what you're saying. Like sometimes you have to realize you're drawing those.
You
in.
always have to ask this question. What is it about don't even say about me, say my patterns or where I'm looking for these people. Like if you're only meeting guys at 4:00 in the morning in the bar, that's a very limited pool and it's a very certain type of environment. So where are you meeting them? How are you meeting them? What is the communication? Because you can't suddenly every time be shocked like, oh my God, it's another one of these. You're either not doing your homework on the front end or you're not, we talk about the pool, you're not fishing in the right pool.
True. Because I think a lot of it is the research in the beginning. I ask a lot of questions.
And a lot of the questions you need to be asking of yourself. What exactly am I looking for? A lot of people are like, oh, I want to have fun on dates. Great. We all want to have fun on dates. If it's all tequila shots in the first 8 dates and then suddenly you sober up and you're like, wait, what are we doing here? You didn't really put yourself in an environment for success.
See, I don't find the people that she is pulling these men in per se. I don't find those. I don't come across all that. I mean, I come across a really nice pool of people. They just don't happen to be my forever.
Right. They exist. Right. If that's your only pool, you need to go to a different club, Jeanette. So, all right, next one. This is from Burton, also via Instagram. Sends it via Instagram. Hi, debate team. I have listened to most of the episodes over the last 2 years, and you definitely go way too easy on the women. They don't know what they want. They believe in things that don't exist. I try everything to make them happy, and I'm always feeling like I am too poor, too short, too dumb, too everything they say they aren't looking for. I know it's healthy to say it's not me, it's them, but what's the point in believing that? Because where does that leave me?
He's not wrong.
That's so sad.
It's very sad, and you're not to anything. It's just the right mix for you. I mean, I don't think that there's worse men than women. I think that there are lots of different types of men and women, and I think the women are equally as bad as the men.
I know, and accept that. Like, we're equally, we've taken one half or one full step away from each other over the last 10, 20 years. We need to take a half or a full step back towards each other, recognize what we've done wrong, differently, can do better, ask the questions. But you're a mom to a couple of boys. Do you prep? Are they too young to think about girls, or are you thinking about like how do we teach